Hi, this is Karen. I'm with inspiredbygram.com. Welcome to my channel. Today we'll be creating a happy birthday card in honor of my grandmother who would have turned 104 years old on July 31st of 2019. So she loved birds, nature, and being very thrifty and using what she had. So in this card, I used what I had in stock because at the time I didn't have petal pink. So I used some retired cardstock, and this was pink pirouette. I had quite a bit of it still left over cutting up as card bases. So this is your standard 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4 card base, along with some Whisper White cardstock and this nice little panel here on the side. And also on the envelope, I created a little panel here that will be mailable. So no, as long as you get it secured on there, it should be no problem to mail. So let's get started creating the card. First, I'm going to remind you of my July 2019 hostess code, which is SCFE2VUG. And if you spend $40 at inspiredbygram.com in product, you will receive for free from me free flowered faceted gems. So I've used these in a few cards already, but they're really, really pretty. And so this is in honor of my grandmother who loved flowers in lots of different colors. So I'll leave these here so you can check those out during the video. And again, my hostess code is there and inspiredbygram.com. So let's get started creating the card. You will need a Whisper White envelope. You will also need a card base that is using petal pink. And this is 8.5 by 5.5 scored at 4 1/4, which I've already scored. This is a piece of white cardstock here, and it's cut 4 by 5 1/4. You will need two. You will need one for the inside, and you will also need one for the front of your card. You will also need some Ballad Designer Series paper, and this is cut 2 by 4, and you can get a lot of 2 by 4s out of one 12 by 12 cardstock or piece of Designer Series paper. For strips to put on your envelope, these are, let me just bring them in the picture here, 3/4 of an inch by 5 7/8, and this is just a 1/2 inch by 5 7/8. So I'll just get it here like this. And for the inside of panel, this is 3/4 of an inch by let's see, 5 1/4, and this is just 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 here. So just match up nicely. So let's work on the front panel of the card. I use the Birch stamp set, so it's just a background stamp, item number 149256. It's a cling mount, and let me just bring it into the picture here. It's a very large stamp, as you can see. I have, let me just see, Stampin' Up block F, so it's the largest stamp we sell, and it is a cling mount here. So I've got it stuck on there. You can see it sticks on there really nicely, and I'll just pull that up and I'll put it on the inside of the case when I'm done. So let's put this down in the picture here, and like I said, one ink color. I'm using Sahara Sand. So when you're using a big stamp like this, you don't want to just do this because this is just too big of a stamp. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the ink pad to the stamp. You don't need to smush it down. Nice, you can just tap it like you would normally tap your ink pad. All right. And then we're going to bring in a piece of that 4 by 5 1/4 white. Push that, or just drop it down nicely. Try to keep it as straight as possible because there's the wood grains going that way. I've got a piece of scrap paper here. And then to transfer that ink onto the white cardstock, I'm just going to just rub this all around until I feel like I've covered every square inch of that panel. And I'm going to just lift that up, and then I'll carefully remove it. And there is your design here, your stamped image. So we'll set aside that large stamp. We're all done with it. And we can take this panel and we can adhere it to our card base. So I'm just going to use my adhesive here. And you just need some adhesive on all 4 sides. And this is a petal pink cardstock. And I want that big wood grain here on the top. So we're using 1/4 inch border, so very easy. All right, so we've got that down. Now let's adhere the doily. So this is a retired product. Let me just bring them in here. I got these a while ago. They're colored doilies. But what I did was I just took one of these and I cut it in half. And then it looks kind of like this. All right, and then just use whichever one. So I'm going to bring in, I think this is Old Olive. So that's a trendy color here, especially with the pink. And I'm going to use that one. I'm going to use a designer series paper here, Bird Ballad. And I'm going to, let's see, we'll put it on this side. And then I'm just going to line up the doily where I want it. Okay. And then I'm going to just design it, this card, so it's going this way. So opposite of this one. And actually, no, let's go this way. So it's a little bit opposite. It's angled opposite. So let's go with something a little bit different. So you can see a different way of designing a card just by turning your designer series paper. All right, so we want to tease up on all 4 sides, and we're just going to angle it here. I'm kind of just looking at the 4 corners and just making sure I'm not going over the edge, and we'll just place this down here. Now, with the Bird Ballad Designer Series paper, you've got a big sheet of birds, and it kind of looks like this. As you can see, this is all I have left from a 12 by 12. So I've used my paper snips, and I've cut out some of these birds. So they kind of look like this. We'll use this one for today. I've got a couple over here as well on the side. I'm going to create another one of these cards as well. So I use dimensionals. So I use the large and the minis. So with the minis, let me find my piercing tool around here. Okay. So I use the mini dimensionals first. So what I do is I take my piercing tool and I put them right over where a larger dimensional would be just actually too big. So just making sure all these like smaller areas get a little bit of lift as well. All right, so let me just put one over here. Now the rest we can fill in just with the regular size dimensionals. And I've got those right here. So we'll just put those around. And one over here. Maybe we'll just put one right here too. It seems like a ton of dimensionals, but you kind of need this because if you don't have it, you know, kind of even, then it's just not gonna sit right on the card. So just to remove these backings, I always use my fingernail and press right in the middle here on all of them first, and then I just simply peel them away one at a time. And you can, I find these backings all over my house. They kind of just stick to you. Once I actually found one in my car. Unbelievable. All right, so we're almost done here. All right, I think I've got one more down here to go. They're super, super sticky, as you can see. All right, so let's bring our card in. And now I'm just gonna kind of look at here before I press it down and secure it how I want that. So I think that looks pretty good. All right, so now let's do some stamping. I use the stitch rectangle dies, and this is the smallest one of the stitch rectangle. All right, and I'm using Itty Bitty Birthdays, and this is also a cling stamp. And I can see I've already got mine all stuck on here, so you just simply pull them off and then put them on your block. So I've already got it on my block here. Let me just bring it over in the picture. Happy birthday. And let's see if I can stamp this straight here. Try to use my grid paper. All right, not too bad on my first shot. So we'll flip this over. Again, I'm going to put dimensionals. I'm going to use small dimensionals, and I'm going to use 3. Okay. If you didn't put one here, then it would just buckle. So you definitely need 3 of the minis. If you don't have the minis, then all you need to do is just cut down your regular size dimensionals to a smaller piece and you'll be fine. All right, so I am going to put this sentiment right. See, I've got a little spot here that I don't really like, so I'm just going to cover that up with my sentiment strip here, and we'll be good to go. All right, so I'm going to close up this ink pad because I don't want to ruin this card. All right, so 1 ink color, that's all you need. You don't need a million inks. Use what you have. All right, so my grandma would probably not be too happy with me right now if she saw this, but these are all the Stampin' Up embellishments. See, I've got some here they're in, current and they're retired. So if she knew how many retired ones I had, she probably wouldn't be too happy with me. So anyway, we're going to use some of these up, and let's see, what will I like to use that's kind of retired? Let's use these. These, I don't even remember what those are. Glitter enamel dots, I believe, but don't quote me on it. But they're the same color here as this doily, so Old Olive. I'm just going to use 3. Remember, odd numbers are more pleasing to the eye. And I'm going to use 3 different sizes. Let's just do one over here, and we'll use a darker one. Just right there. Okay, so there's our front of the card. We're not done with it yet because I'm going to add some glitz to it, but I'll save that for last. All right, so now we're almost done actually. We just need to put the strips on. So let's match them up first. Oops. And we just need to add our adhesive here. And then we're going to add it. Hopefully, yeah, this is the right one. 1/4 inch edge to edge, but 1/4 inch border on the top and the bottom. Okay, so that one's all set. And then we'll do the same thing for the longer piece, which goes on the envelope. You want to make sure you get it right to the end. All right, so again, edge to edge, and then 1/4 inch border, top to bottom. Now, if your designer series paper goes over too far, we can always fix that. All right, so now we need adhesive. Let's do the inside panel. Okay, make sure it goes all the way to the edge, and I'm just going to put this over on the right side, leaving a little bit of that white showing. And I'm just going to check, make sure those are flush, edge to edge, and they are. And then I'm just going to put some adhesive here and just a little bit there in the middle. Open up our card, and our inside of our card is complete. Okay, so got that done, and now our envelope. So this one's, you got to be a little bit more careful. So probably a little bit more adhesive would help you out, so it just stays there. And I'm just going to put 2 lines of adhesive. Bring my envelope in here. Again, that's a Whisper White. Leaving a little border at the bottom so you can see the Whisper White coming through, and give a good press. Now you can see this is way too, and I think I purposely cut that because I didn't want it to be too short. So I can just use my paper snips here and just trim off, being careful not to cut that envelope. These are super sharp, by the way, and my scissors of choice. All right, so here's our envelope. Don't forget to stamp the back of your card, and I stamp mine with, let's do it. I'll bring in my personalized stamp here and my Stampin' Up! Copyright logo with the Sahara sand. And we will ink this up. I just ink it up on the back side. It gives my information and the Stampin' Up! Copyright logo. And we are good to go. All right. So that last glitz is going to be the wink of Stella. So I'm not sure if you can see on the example right here, this bluebird here has the wink of Stella on it. So I'm just going to give the yellow birds here, let's call those finches. They're male finches. And we'll just color them in, just give them a little bit of glitz, and we're good to go. So Just adds a little special touch to your card. All right, so here is the card we created today, and the envelope to match, and the blue bird using pink pirouette. Don't forget, and this one's petal pink. So both work really nicely, and again, one ink color, and that was Sahara Sand. So all these supplies you can purchase at my website, inspiredbygraham.com, and don't forget about the July Hostess Code. Thanks for watching. I appreciate your support.